Yo, what's going on, guys? Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Will. My friends call me Wild Bill, but you can call me Crazy. I feel like there's not a lot of really good beginner guides for gloving, and there's a void to be filled, and I'm gonna be the one to fill that void by making tutorials. So yeah, this is gonna be a tutorial basically talking about uh, the fundamentals of gloving. I'm not gonna really go into any moves or anything. I know you guys want to learn about clusters and finger rolls and stuff. I'm not gonna do any of that this video. But what this guide's gonna be talking about is the keys to make you a good glover. We're gonna be talking about the grid. We're going to be talking about the trifecta of what goes into a good show, which is basically the complexity, the execution, and the musicality, and the mindset, like the way that you need to think about gloving in order to get better. The grid. This is where the magic happens, so to speak. Whatever kind of magic you want. I'm not going to be giving a super in-depth discussion about this. I'll do another video later that'll go into way more depth. But basically, I just want you guys to understand what the grid is. It is the space, the three-dimensional space that the show is taking place in. And if you're able to understand what looks cool with the grid, basically the way that your eyes are looking out, you have depth perception because your eyes are forward-facing, and you can see things at your periphery, and if you can manipulate that, you can make things look really cool. And I think the best way to get good at figuring out what looks cool is to go trade light shows with people. Go get some light shows, and then you get to see, like, oh, that thing looks super sick. Like, some things that I learned, some really super simple moves that every beginner can do looks really cool when you're giving a light show. Like, there's this stacking thing where you can just kind of take your hands and put them on people's like peripheries. It looks sick. And there's this like single hand isolated finger roll where you just kind of like move, you keep one hand still and you move the other hand and you can move your thumbs around. It looks sweet, especially if you have the red and blue strobe lights. Blows your mind. And also like just like if you're able to get an understanding of how close you need to be to a person, you can make dials look really cool, and all they are is just doing this, and it looks sweet in a light show. It's probably one of my favorite moves to do. So yeah, you can do really simple moves as long as you understand the grid. You can make it look cool. So inside of the grid, this is where your show is going to be taking place, and you got to understand the three components, the trifecta of making a really dope show. The first one is going to be the moves, the actual, like the complexity of your moves, how difficult they are to make, how hard they are to do, how clean they are your angles clean, are you really, are you getting across what you want the viewer to see? So number two is the execution. How well are the moves connected together? So are the moves really choppy and they don't really connect well? Like you can go from a finger roll to a flail. Most of the time, beginners have the hardest time understanding how to transition between moves. And I think it takes a lot of thinking about, and it takes a lot of practice, and it's really difficult to get down. It's basically, execution is going to be your flow. How fluid is your show? Does everything kind of connect in one seamless motion? And third is going to be the musicality. How well do your moves fit the music? Do the moves accentuate the beats of the music? Do they line up with the lyrics of the music? Do you slow down? Do you speed up when the music slows down and speeds up? You don't have to slow down and speed up every time the music slows down, but if you're able to navigate your moves through the music and make them connect, it puts the cherry on top of the show. It is, I think, the most important aspect of a good light show is musicality. And here's an example of a dude, Squeens. He just competed in Lights On Season 4 for the first round. He gave a ridiculous show. Shout out to you, Squeens. You're the homie. Watch this show. It shows what good musicality is. You can look at how he'll do the one thing. You'll see it. He'll do this one thing, and it goes so well with it. One, it matches with the lyrics, and two, he does it with the beat. And also, he'll do like with his execution, with his flow, he really connects his flails with like tutting, and he connects them with whips. Like he'll do like a tut, and then he'll do some weird whips. I don't know how to do it yet, but it's really dope to watch. And he just has super good control. I don't think that his moves were super complex, but they were really clean. So I think overall, like this portion is probably one of the best intro, like the best 30-second sections of a light show I've ever seen. So yeah. Some people like to treat gloving as an art, and that's 100% a-okay. Have no problems with it. But if you're trying to melt strangers' brains and you're trying to be the very best that nobody ever was, you are going to need to change your mindset. If you're trying to get good, I think this is the best mindset to have. Look for mistakes in your shows and be stoked when you find them, because when you realize that you're doing something wrong in your show, then you can be like, whoa, I can fix this, and once I fix that, my shows will be better permanently. So I think a really good way to improve is to, one, record yourself, watch your recordings, and record yourself, post it on Reddit, or post it on Glover's Lounge, on Facebook, or post it on YouTube, wherever, and ask people to give you feedback. Ask people to be like, hey, I'm a beginner, or hey, like, I want to get better at gloving, give me some feedback. And as long as you're able to take constructive criticism, people are very willing to give it to you, and they're really nice, and it's helped me out a lot. That's how I progressed as a glover a lot in my first few months of gloving. Also, don't think that there's nothing wrong with your show. It's really easy to be content with your finger rolls and be like, oh yeah, my finger rolls are cool, I can do them. But when you're doing finger rolls, are they symmetric? Is your index finger closing is your leading index finger closing as your tailing index finger is opening? And also, you can focus on, there's so many different aspects. Is your finger roll panning? Is it moving through the grid? And is it moving in the same direction? Is it flat? There's a lot of times I had this problem where I would like curl my hands. There's so many things to just nitpick about finger rolls. Also, is your tech at 90 degrees? Is it always sharp? I can even work on this. Sometimes there's one thing that I'll do where I'll have my like right angles here, and I'll try to do this tech where I try to come into this finger and go out, but then sometimes I'll shift it just a little bit and it won't line up with my finger and it looks kind of ugly. And I don't like that, but it's like a bad habit that I've built and I'm trying to get rid of it. So there's always things that you can practice on getting better. There's always little tiny microscopic aspects that you can improve on. Nitpick these things the most when you're learning, because when you learn with good technique, practice doesn't make perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect. So make sure that you're really, especially in the beginning, not building bad habits if you're trying to get good. Sometimes I'll see people practicing without gloves on. They'll practice gloving without gloves on, and they give dope finger shows when they're recording. Their finger shows look freaking dope, but when they put their gloves on, it's not as dope because they have a light, and it's basically the smallest light you can get is still thicker than your finger, and so you have to account for the thickness of another finger in between your hands. So if you're trying to do things like dials, or if you're trying to do tech, it's way different. So practice with your gloves on if you want to be good at gloving with your lights on. So, and if you don't have gloves, you should get some gloves, because then what are you doing? Are you just practicing like without gloves on your hands? That's ridiculous. You look like a tool. You look like a fool, like me right now. Also, if you want to help me out, go ahead and use my code HowToGlove down below. Get 10% off, and I think it like compounds with any other discount. You guys will be helping me out. If you're a beginner, and you don't have gloves, I would highly recommend the Amazing Light Easy Light 2.0s. I'll have a link down below. Those lights are like 30 bucks or something, and they're pretty much anything you can ask for a beginner. You can change the lights, like any combination that you need out of like the 12 or something lights that come pre-programmed, and there's different strobe patterns to it. So it's definitely like the best budget lights. What I started off with. So yeah, and look at me now, Mom. If you want something a little bit more advanced, I would suggest the Element V2s from Amazing Lights. Those are dope. They have accelerometers, and they're like 70 bucks, I think. I want to say something like that. And that's like the next step up. And basically, after that, you should get Spectras. Or maybe just skip the Amazing Light, the Elements, and get the Spectras, because the Spectras are freaking dope. They're like by far the best light in my opinion. So yeah, if you don't have lights already, you should go get them. Because remember, no glove, no love. Or don't put two gloves on because one of them might rip. But I wonder if you like had a problem where it was really small, you could just put on as many as you wanted and just made it thicker. Would that work? I don't know. I don't think it would ever break either.